Voices that matter, voices that are different, and voices that need to be heard. Burnt by kerosene, raped and beaten to death, stabbed and tortured, throat slashed, left to bleed to death. These are just some of the ways women like me have been treated in our history, in our country, over the years. I'm Apsara, a transgender woman, and I don't believe in tiptoeing around who I really am. I really think it's okay, it's really okay, to be who you really are. I think each one of you here watching me today, I hope you can engage with women like me in a more positive way after hearing me today. I'm not the one to make a case for tolerance. I feel tolerance is a negative word. I think acceptance is extremely important. And it isn't easy because everyone has an opinion. Everyone has something to say. And for the most part, in our Indian culture, most people have a critique. Growing up, I always knew I was meant to be a girl. I felt wrong in the male body. I knew I was meant to be so much more. So for me, there was always pride in being who I was. By coming out openly and proudly, I believe I've shattered the glass ceiling. I think it's important for each one of you to aspire to break those boundaries, to shatter those glass ceilings, because when you limit yourself, when you consider yourself inferior or cater to your insecurities, you've lost the plot. I think for me, that was the main aim, to achieve something in life through the power of thought, through the power of choice, and through the power of freedom. Because ultimately, if you can't follow those, you can never live a fulfilling life. Yes, every transsexual goes through a battle to relate her feelings to the society and often the family itself. But certainly, that is what made me that much more stronger. At least I took on the mental conditioning of so many people who talked down at you. I was able to challenge established norms. And I think for me, a lot of people said, there's so many people who take you to saints, they want you to meet doctors, thinking that they can cure you. But they don't understand it's a deep psychological journey, it's a deep inner feeling of wanting to be a woman. And I think nobody can actually understand how liberating it is to be who you want to be. So for me, it was never, I never understood this oppression. I never understood why people, always attach ill-informed opinions to what you want to become. So for me, it was always about just finding my freedom, finding my dignity, and being who I want to be. And I thought I wasn't breaking the law. I wasn't hurting anybody. I wasn't violating anybody's space. So for me, it was important to do it in an honest and a dignified manner. And I found that freedom through the power of choice and through the power of negotiation. I think every member in your family, every member of Indian society wants that dialogue with you. Nobody is willing to give you freedom as in the Western countries. I think in India, you have to have that much more patience, that much more experience, that much more sensitivity to relate to people and talk to people about who you are and how you feel. It's very easy to walk away. A lot of people said to me, why don't you go abroad and live? You've studied in Australia, you've studied in London, why don't you go live somewhere else? For me, the point was, why should I live a lie somewhere else when I can't live the truth on my home turf? So for me, I wanted to do it here. I wanted to transition here. And I think by doing that here, I found a lot more support. I found a lot more courage to be who I am. And I think I've helped people around me break barriers too. Growing up in a secure and sensitive family, I have always learned to reach out and also look within. And at every step of the way, I identified as a female. There was a phase in life when everybody tells you you're gay. In India, I think when people don't understand sexuality, the easiest thing for people to say is, oh, it's a gay person. But the thing is, I was a female, I felt like one, and I thought like one. I was inclined to marriage, to family, to a dignifying career, and engaging with society as positively as I can. So I want to say to each one of you here, it's not a disease, it's not a condition, it's not an infection or an illness. So all of you who are throwing your medical textbooks or religious textbooks at me, please say a prayer because I'm not going anywhere. Because I feel it's a very deep personal journey. One thing I can say and agree on, it's a journey and a very rocky one at that. But certainly not painful if you can actually stick with your choices, with conviction, with courage and with honesty. Because lots of people don't understand what a transsexual woman is. There is a safe medical procedure for you to be who you want to be, but everybody thinks of it in a very different way. So I want to tell everybody here today, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be expressive. It's okay to engage. Not everything needs to be dealt with in silence. It's okay to love differently. It's okay to be who you are. And I think for me, the toughest thing to do it in India was because, women itself, regular, normal, everyday women itself are fighting for rights. They want quotas, they want reservations, they want more safety. And there's always this warped notions of what is inferior, what is equality, what place do you have in society. So for me, it was not an easy task to ask others to accept me. But it was important for me, nonetheless, to kind of get that acceptance. And to have that acceptance and to have the embrace of family for me was very important. So I got my family on the journey with me. I was open to my family, I was open to my parents, I was open to everybody, where I studied, where I worked, and whoever I met. And I felt if people don't appreciate honesty and don't want to engage with you, please let them go. Because if somebody doesn't engage with you on equal terms, they're not worth having in your life anyway. So having arrived at a secure place in life in terms of sexuality and my family accepting me, the next step was to help people understand me. It wasn't easy. There were lots of people saying uncharitable, baseless, cruel, harsh things. My family went through a lot of trouble because of this. My family went through a lot of despair because people don't make an effort to be sensitive. And I think for me it was finding my freedom. But then I think for my parents it was also a concept they never understood. For people in my family it was something new, because I think people always mix the eunuch and the hijra community with transsexuals. Two are very, very different things. And I think for me to kind of educate them, to sensitize them, and to show that I'm equally responsible, I am the same person that I am, was difficult. But then for me it was important, so I did have a long discussion and engage them in conversation and counseling, so it helped me. Whenever people told me I would be mocked at and never be respected unless I changed my choices, I said to myself, hang on, there has to be room for negotiation. Nobody can wish anybody away. I don't think any human being should be wished away because somebody doesn't accept who you are. I think it's about time we use the power of mind, the power of choice, and the power of inner strength to convince people that there's a way out there. Because all of us very often in life, when we meet with roadblocks, we give up. We try and hold a friend's hand for help, and most often that friend tells you it's not worth the fight. But please fight, and make it a fight worth fighting. Make it a good fight. It's important. It's important to put up the fight, because if you don't put up that fight, nobody else will. So what does it really take to establish your identity? Is it the appearance? Is it your education? Or is it just I don't give a damn attitude? What it really takes, according to me, is honesty. Honesty to yourself, to your family, and above all to the world. Because for being who you are and to be honest about yourself, I don't think is a crime. I was only wanting to be me. I wasn't hurting anybody. I wasn't snatching away somebody else's relationships, the boyfriends, or any of that. It was just a very deep personal journey. And I think courage is also very important. Courage not to fight small-mindedness. It is not the courage to kind of battle it out, but I think it's the courage to stick through with your choices. When you feel a certain way, to see through, to see to the final point, and to believe in yourself, and to take everybody along that journey is very important, and to have that courage. Yes, there will be voices of dissent, of discrimination, of discouragement, but I feel each one of you here who want to break barriers must follow your heart and with equal measure your head. I think it's a very good combination to not just go only with your heart or your mind. I think a combination of both along with inner strength is very important. Establishing an identity for me was a challenge. First, people had to understand I wasn't gay, then to accept me as a trans woman, then as a mainstream career girl. It perhaps was a hard and a shock to the system, but it helped me to be where I am today. I never challenged people or aimed to change their minds. I just lived my life in an honest and a transparent way, but never explained myself. And I think in my actions and in my work and in my success, people found answers. And that's the way it should be. I don't think anybody has a right to ask you what you want to do on a daily basis, or what you want to do inside a closed bedroom door, or what your physiology is. I think it's not nobody's business. As long as you're able to engage with human beings shoulder to shoulder and eye to eye in any setting, I think that's important. When I walked into my first job at the Indian Express, people looked at me weirdly. Things were said in hushed whispers. Nobody spoke to me. When I walked into the canteen, people walked out. But those mocking voices quickly turned into friendly conversations. They became my support systems within the matter of 6 months. Why? I really don't know why. I don't really have an answer to why people change. But I think success changes a lot of things. I was bloody damn competitive at my work. Whether it was a Nicolas Cage interview or interviewing a chief minister or a prime minister, I competed with the top editors of the company. And thanks be to God and to the MD of that company who supported me. I think it's very important to be good at your work and to deliver at work. I don't think friendships at work really matter. I think what matters is if you're able to deliver. I think that changed a lot of things for me at work. Never once did I explain myself, not even when people asked me confronting questions. Yeah, there are people who ask you very confronting questions in the name of curiosity, in the name of innocence, but I always kept it simple. This is who I am, take it or leave it. And if people left, I was happy to let them go, because if somebody can't understand who you are, and if somebody doesn't want to make the effort to understand who you are, please let them go.